The Elves and the Shoemaker. There once was a shoemaker, a cobbler, who worked very hard and was very honest, but still he could not earn enough to live upon, and at last all he had in the world was gone, except for just enough leather to make one pair of shoes. Then, in the evening, before he went to bed, he cut his leather out, all ready to make up and sew together the next morning, meaning to rise early to get his work done. He was a good man, and his conscience was clear, and his heart felt light amidst all his troubles. So he said his prayers, and went peacefully and happily to bed, left all his worries and cares to heaven, and soon fell asleep. In the morning, after he had said his prayers, he sat himself down to his work, when, to his great wonder and surprise, there stood the shoes upon the table, all ready made. The good man knew not what to say or think at such an odd thing happening. He looked at the workmanship to see how well the shoes were made, and there was not one mistake, not one false stitch in the whole job. The shoes were made so neatly and truly that it was quite a masterpiece. That same day a customer came in, and the shoes suited him so well that he willingly paid a price higher than usual for them, and the poor shoemaker, with the money, that very afternoon bought leather enough to make 2 pairs more. In the evening he cut out the work and went to bed early, so that he might get up early the next day and begin sewing the shoes. But he was saved all the trouble, for when he got up in the morning, the work was already done. Soon in came 2 buyers, who paid him a very good price for the shoes. So that afternoon he bought leather enough for 4 pairs more. He cut out the work again that evening, and found it finished and done in the morning, just as before. And so it went on for some time. What was prepared and got ready in the evening was always finished and done by daybreak, and the good man soon became thriving and successful and well off again. One evening, about Christmas time, as he and his wife were sitting over the fire chatting together, he said to her, "I should like to sit up and watch tonight, that we may see who it is that comes and does my work for me." The wife liked the thought, so they left a light burning and hid themselves in a corner of the room behind a curtain that was hung up there, and watched what would happen. As soon as it was midnight, there came in 2 little naked elves, and they sat themselves upon the shoemaker's bench, took up all the pieces of leather that were cut out, and began to work with their little fingers, stitching and sewing and tapping away at such a rate that the shoemaker was all wonder and could not take his eyes off them. And on the elves went, working away till the job was quite done and the shoes stood ready upon the table. This was long before daybreak, and then they bustled away as quick as lightning. The next day the wife said to the shoemaker, "These little elves have made us rich, and we ought to be thankful to them and do them a good deed if we can. I am quite sorry to see them run about naked as they do, and indeed it is not very decent, for they have nothing upon their backs to keep off the cold. I'll tell you what, I will make each of them a shirt and a coat and vest and a nice pair of pants into the bargain, and you must make each of them a little pair of shoes." The thought pleased the good cobbler very much, And one evening, when all the things were ready, they laid the clothes on the table instead of the leather pieces that they used to cut out, and then they went and hid themselves to watch what the little elves would do. About midnight, in came the elves, dancing and skipping and hopping around the room, and then they went to the workbench to sit down to their work as usual. But when they saw the clothes lying for them, they laughed and chuckled and giggled and seemed mightily delighted. Then, in the twinkling of an eye, they dressed themselves and danced and capered and sprang about as merry as could be, till at last they danced out the door and away down the road. The good shoemaker and his wife saw them no more, but everything went well with them from that time forward, and they lived happily ever after.